Hi guys, and welcome to the next session. In this session, we will be discussing about layouts. Right. The reason why I'm discussing layouts first is because it has something to do with creating a theme for an entire presentation. Remember that we are trying to solve a problem here, and we are not just trying to understand various applications of PowerPoint, but at the same time, we want to really solve a problem of making this presentation better. Right? We'll come to the storytelling aspect of it in the next session, but at the moment, we just need to create a theme under which we can operate in terms of fonts, in terms of layout, and just a basic structure. Okay. Now, what do I mean by layout? Layout means how your presentation looks in terms of the content. So there's a title out here, and then there's this body of content out here, right? Now, when you right click on any of these slides, you will have various options under which below add section, there's a section called as the layout. Okay. Now you've got title slide, which only has title. It's exactly the first slide which we saw before, which whenever you're starting a presentation, it will have a title layout, right? Apart from that, if you look at title and content, so it's something like this, which is again a generic content based layout, which is by default, whenever you put it into the next slide, it will always come up with a title and content layout, right? Then you've got section headers, to content, comparison, right? Content with caption, picture. Most likely, we will be using title and content. Some cases where we have content which requires comparison, then we might use comparison, right? But anyways, that depends upon the content or the context of problem that we are solving, or the communication that we are doing using our presentation. Now, the important aspect of this lecture is to understand first that we cannot keep on going through each and every slide and trying to change the fonts, the size, the font, the typography. It's pretty big work, or you can say redundant activity that you're doing, right? And frequently people don't know how to fix this, because there's an easy way of doing this is to first work on the framework. And the framework in terms of layout, in terms of all of this, is in the view section. If you remember in the second lecture that we spoke about, in the view section you've got an important functionality which is known by the term slide master. Okay, so let's click on the slide master. Okay, now this might sound confusing or might even look confusing, but all it means is that for all the layouts that you're going to use, you can set a standard structure. All right. Now, if you remember from the previous lecture, we spoke about fonts, right? So, and we spoke about sans serif and serif as the usual fonts that we can use for a usual business presentation, unless we are trying to obviously overdo things. Now, if you remember, we also spoke about the fact that sans serif is mostly good in terms of headings. So let's go ahead and first set the master slide. Okay, so this is the main slide, which is mostly going to take whatever structure you're going to put it here is going to come across all the layouts. Okay, and plus, if you want to put logos, it's a bad idea to put in each and every slide, because once you start formatting the slides, you will realize your logo is either gone, or you would not know what framework to stick to. Okay, so what we're going to do is first, we're going to make sure that we tell the PowerPoint on what font do we want, what size do we want in terms of the title. And this can vary, but mostly it will follow a standard structure. So we can see out here that Calibri Light, which is also fine, but we will try to explore a more fancier font than Calibri Light, because Calibri is just too blank. So if you remember from the previous lecture, in terms of your sans serif, we had Arial, we have Gothic, and we have Gill Sans Empty. So what we'll do is, since this presentation is a little more towards a very casual presentation, so we'll try to use Gill Sans Empty. Okay, so let's type in here Gill Sans Empty, and this is in the home section where you select the title, go to home section and click on, or try to search Gill Sans Empty, and just remember that the title size that we've used is 44. And this is pretty important, because later on, if any changes we want to do, we want to come and do it in the master slide, then going and doing changes in each and every slide. Once you start individualizing or customizing each slide, the master slide will go for a toss. So make sure that whatever structure you're giving it in the master slide itself. Okay. Now let's come to the body content. Okay. Now you can see out here that one is your, in the body also there are headings, and then you've got your second level, third level, fourth level, fifth level. Now let me explain this using a normal slide so that you'll understand this better on what these levels mean. So for example, if I wrote, let's say product list, okay, now I want to create subcategories of product list. So if I go to the second line, right, so what I did is I wrote product list. The product list is coming from the bullet out here, right? Now if I press enter, now if I want to get into the subcategory, all I need to do is press the button tab. Okay, so as soon as I press the button tab, it will go to the second level. Okay, so let's say I wrote product one. Now let's say product one also has variants. Okay, so again what I do is I press enter, and if I again press tab, it goes to the third level and so on. So this is what we mean by levels of content. Okay, and remember the shortcut is tab. If you don't want to use the shortcut, you could also use a button out here in the shape format section, or the home section. In the paragraph section, you will see increase list level functionality out here, which will also work fine, but this just saves time. That's all, right? So let's come back to the view ribbon and let's go to the slide master. So that is what we meant by levels. Now let's make sure that we also give PowerPoint an instruction on what font we want to use in terms of the body content. Okay, so let's go to the home section, and now in for this, what we can do is we can use sans serif. In serif we can use Garamond. Okay, so sounds fancier and looks also a little more nicer. Okay, so this is going to be my first level of first level of font in case of my body content. Now for the second, third, fourth, fifth level, all we can do is we can just select all of them and just put Garamond. Okay, and all the font type will change, and you can see that the same is also getting reflected in all of the other content as well. Right now, an important, okay, we have not done it for the first level, so let me just put Garamond here. There you go. Now if you can see in most of the pages, Garamond has come, right? So that's the objective of basically setting the first master slide. So this is the main master slide, and under this, now you can have such various master slides also. All you need to do is press, or you can just go to the view section and you can enter a new master slide, or you can just right click here and create another slide master. So this is another version, right? So whichever one you select is the one which will be applicable for your presentation. All right, so that's how you need to actually work in terms of the font size, right? So we have used Garamond, and you can also set the size. So we are sticking to 28, and then from 28 to 24, then 20, then 18. So there's a different about this. There's a difference about four sizes below. And if you look at from the fourth level, it is stuck at 18. So we don't want to go below 18. You can also set whether you really want the footer, the date, and the slide number. And that depends upon you whether what kind of presentation actually you are making. So that's our font and master slide. And now what we can do is since we're going to finally put the logo of the company. So this is just an example. You can do another examples also. So all I've done is I'm just dragging this logo and I'm putting it to the master slide. Okay, and you have to be a little more careful on the size. And this is just probably hit and error kind of a concept. So if I want to just make this a little smaller so that it can fit in properly, what I can do is I can go to the picture format section, and what I'll do is I'll just format this size, right? Because I don't want to really have such a big logo out here with with its borders coming out of the presentation, right? So what I'll do is I'll use the crop in the picture format section to the right, and I'll just drag this down so that it becomes a little more horizontal and can be used very easily, right? So there you go, I've cropped it, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to just put it to the end, And the reason to put it at the edges is so that it does not interfere with your content. Okay, you don't want it to be coming inside your content. In fact, if you want to do this a little more in a finishing way, you could also try to just, save in a little more space out here, because once you start building content, you don't want to modify the content according to the formatting that you've used, right? So more the space, the better it is, right? Now, whether you put it in the right edge or the right left side edge is totally your call. I like to put it in the right hand corner because it's a little more easier to remember. Okay. Now, if we go and click on our main slide, you can see that the changes have taken effect, right? So you can see that it is showing me the font which I'm using, right? So that's a little bit about using the layout, right? Now remember that we are still trying to solve a problem of making this presentation better. So at the moment, we've just structured our slide master. In the next session, we'll first think about what kind of story do we really want to tell. And we're going to use the same WWH principle that we used in the first lecture in understanding how to present.